Hello, everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of Codo's Cinema. I'm your host, Mark Codo, and today I'm going to review the 92nd Academy Awards, also known as the 2020 Oscars. Now, before I move on to the Oscars review today, I am not doing this episode alone. Today, on this episode, I will be doing the review with on-air personality student of Hitmix 88.9 FM, Randall Becker.
Well, thank you for inviting me. I always appreciate a good, warm introduction. I feel like we should always support our podcasters here at Hitmix. We don't see you behind the mic. I find that very disappointing, but you know what? I can't say anything like that. This might be as opinionated as I need it to be, but you know what, Codo? I appreciate you.
Oh, thank you very much, Randall. I appreciate that, too. Oh, by the way, thank you for texting me out on... Thank you for texting me out on whether I was going to do a review on the Oscars.
Well, I had to call you out. See, you're honestly my jogging white noise, I like to call it. I can easily binge you. You're 24 minutes. It's very concise, usually extremely objective, sometimes a little bit too objective, and I can just listen to you. And you've gotten a lot better over the last 14 episodes, and I'm glad that I can help grandstand for your 15th episode. Oscars 92, am I right? Woot woot.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So anyway, on Sunday, February 9th, 2020, the Academy of Motion Pictures and Sciences, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So they just had their 92nd anniversary of the Oscars, or the Academy Awards, I should say. There are so many films that have been nominated / won the Oscar, depending on what categories they're in. So, with many different categories this year, the Oscars this year was pretty interesting because we had a lot of great films being nominated for many categories, like, as always, Best Actor, Best Actress, Best Supporting Actor, Best Supporting Actress, Makeup, Visuals, Music Director, and even Best Picture, obviously.
Oh, it's quite astounding. We have close to 40 movies being nominated for Oscars here. A lot of content to go through. I know I only saw about a handful of them. Same goes for you, I assume?
Yes. Even though there may be some films that I have not seen that are nominated this year for the Academy Award. But anyway, I did list out some films that I have seen already. Most notably, Joker, Ford vs. Ferrari, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, 1917, Toy Story 4, How to Train Your Dragon 3, and I am pretty sure I am missing some... Oh, wait. Avengers Endgame.
Absolutely. I think everyone has seen Avengers Endgame. Finally just took over that Avatar position, right?
It did, yes, at the box office.
Highest grossing. And this Oscar is going to be real exciting this whole season. We got a lot of Netflix exclusives and streaming exclusives.
Right, like... The Irishman by Martin Scorsese.
We got The Irishman, Two Popes, plenty of others. A lot of the short film entrants and documentary entrants are actually completely on Netflix. It's almost complete. It's dominating, actually.
Yeah, it's like Netflix is dominated this year.
Yeah, I think a year and a half ago, Spielberg even said that streaming isn't real cinema. It's not real movies. It just doesn't count.
Really?
You don't remember that?
I might not remember that.
Oh, no. See, this is back when he was making Ready Player One and a couple of other movies. He just made an offhanded comment. I'm sure it was just offhanded as it was, but he said that the Oscars was being, and even like last year, it was in contention about the idea of Netflix and streaming movies having a little bit too much power.
Ooh. Is that really true? Did that actually really happen?
Because it's when you look at the politics of it, right?
Oh,
because they pay for it. They can pay as much money as they want. I think that's the only reason why the new Star Wars is on here, too.
Right, and not to mention, Star Wars was also nominated for 3 Academy Awards, although those categories did not win the Oscar. Although, to be fair though, I'm just gonna be totally honest with you. I mean, it's like the other 2 films in the prequels didn't even win those Oscars.
Yeah.
Even though because the original Star Wars came out in 1977, became one of the biggest films of that time, and it's still to this day, Star Wars is the greatest film franchise of all time.
Oh, yeah, I think it's the dead set reality of the Oscars being as political as they are, but I feel like this might actually be one of the fairest years we've seen.
Right. And I know last year, 2019. I know a lot of people were split on episode 9 because I think the reason why is because like it's just basically the reception of The Last Jedi and the recent Han Solo movie. Now, don't get me wrong, I love Star Wars despite the flaws it has.
Yeah, I love this tangent as well. I just realized I might have thrown us a little bit off course here.
Yeah, okay.
I'll try and re-steer us towards the
let's-
Oscars.
Right, let's re-steer towards the Oscars. Anyway, yes, Star Wars Episode 9 was nominated for 3 Academy Awards, although they didn't win. But on a side note, it seems pretty. It's still. But still pretty
I get it. Star Wars is epic. We'll move right on over. Why don't we start with that first category? Actor in a leading role.
Actor in a leading role. That's what. Right. Did I say light? I feel like.
Sure. You definitely mentioned a hue. There we go.
Sorry,
That's fine.
I'm a stutter. I accidentally stutter at
No,
times.
it's all good.
That's
It's creative.
just basically me. But anyway, why so serious?
Absolutely. That wasn't the same Joker, but we did actually see Joaquin Phoenix take the win with directed by Todd Phillips' Joker.
That is right. And here's the thing. When I went to see that movie back in 2019, by the way, if you guys want to check out my review of the Joker, please check that out. Please go check that out. It's on the 2019 section. I actually forgot what episode that was, but
I think it might be the one titled Joker Review.
Oh, yes. I think it's a title Joker Review. So if you guys want to check out my review of the Joker, of 2019's Joker, please go check that out.
Yes. We had some strong contenders. Leonardo DiCaprio could have taken another one. We had Adam Driver, Jonathan Pryce, and Antonio Banderas, all from very strong movies with Marriage Story, that Netflix exclusive, very powerful, character-driven. In addition, with Leonardo DiCaprio's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, a movie I actually thought was going to take this category.
Now here's the thing with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Now, like I said, I really, really love Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Although, wait a minute. I really, really enjoy Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Sharing up your opinions, I see.
Yeah, I know. But here's the thing: I didn't think Leonardo DiCaprio would have won. Although that is basically a huge competition with these actors, with the actors being nominated for best acting leads. That is a huge competition. You get actors like Leonardo DiCaprio, Joaquin Phoenix, Antonio Banderas, Jonathan Pryce, and Adam Driver. Surprisingly, I'm just as surprised as Adam Driver because he was nominated in 2018 for Black Klansman, but in a Best Supporting Actor role.
Oh, yeah. All 3 main characters from Marriage Story actually got nominated. We had Adam Driver, Scarlett Johansson, and Laura Dern, which actually did end up winning hers for supporting actress, but we'll get to that in just a bit.
Right. Now, Joaquin Phoenix, I knew right out of the gate that Joaquin Phoenix will win Best Actor.
Oh, absolutely. Because when you take a step back and look at this category in terms of which actor brought the most to it, it would be Joaquin Phoenix.
Right, exactly. And when I actually saw the Joker movie, Joaquin Phoenix was amazing. I can tell how amazing he was in that role. And on a side note, you can relate to this character because here's the reason why. We can relate to this character because he had a struggled life. He was poked fun of. He was.
They captured a visceral sense of like an early 1970s, 60s. Is that the aesthetic of Gotham?
80s.
1980s for Gotham. And about what was going on with unionization. And even though the setting itself was a character, and I feel like that was true for all 5 of the movies that were nominated, Joaquin Phoenix absolutely made the Joker, took it from what I thought originally would be a 6 all the way up to a solid 8.
Mm-hmm. Now, here's my opinion. This is just my opinion. Joaquin Phoenix's take on the Joker won't top Heath Ledger's Joker. That is just my opinion. Now,
Yes.
I love Heath Ledger and Joaquin Phoenix's take on the Joker. They both portrayed the Joker in their own take. And
Absolutely.
And
See, how I view it, right, with Heath Ledger works very well as an ensemble piece. He's a good ensemble Joker, but if we're looking at Joaquin Phoenix and if he actually does show up in the DCU, I don't know if he can go up against Batman, but he was really interesting. It definitely parodied, funny enough to mention Martin Scorsese's, but Taxi Driver.
Right. Because there are actually a few connections to Martin Scorsese's films in the Joker. Particularly Taxi Driver and
King of Comedy.
King of Comedy, that's what it was.
Yeah.
I totally forgot what his other film was because Robert De Niro's character in the Joker is a connection to one of Martin Scorsese's films, which was
King of Comedy.
King of Comedy. So, and speaking of Martin Scorsese, his film Irishman was also nominated for Best Picture. Plus, did Robert De Niro get nominated that year too for Irishman? Or
I don't know if he ended up getting a nomination.
Because I know Al Pacino and Joe Pesci did.
The weirdest thing about The Irishman is that it shows up a lot on this list. It dominates it because we had so many powerful, very strong mainstay actors. We had people come out of retirement for this, like Joe Pesci.
Exactly. Speaking of which, did you hear that Martin Scorsese was originally going to produce the Joker?
You know, that actually would not have surprised me. I feel like he probably just read the source material and how it was going, and maybe he didn't have Joaquin Phoenix in mind, but it's like, oh, this is just a reboot of a King of Comedy. I don't even want to do this.
Well, here's the thing. Like, he wasn't going to direct. He was going to produce, although Todd Phillips stepped in to direct.
See, that's surprising that he really stepped up as a director coming from the Hangover movies.
Right, and that is a very good transition from like comedy to a much more serious movie. Mm-hmm. And not only that, but Bradley Cooper, who voiced Rocket Raccoon, also produced the Joker movie as well.
Oh, yeah. Everyone's connected. Everyone's doing everything together. We might want to move on to our next category if we actually want to make this shorter than 30 hours or something like that.
Or 30 minutes.
30 minutes.
So anyway, since we did mention Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Brad Pitt won Best Supporting Actor in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Oh, absolutely. He was a great companion. He made opening up a can of dog food interesting.
I know, right?
I don't know how you could not have given it to him.
Especially the final battle between... Especially his final battle.
Against the Manson clan.
Yes. It's because here's the thing: whenever Quentin Tarantino directs a film that is based on real life history, you know there's going to be some changes. Because you want to know why? Mm-hmm. Because most of Tarantino's films are set in an alternate timeline.
Oh, absolutely, and they're well known for their cartoonish real life violence.
Exactly.
And considering how much suspense the entire movie built up and how comfortable it actually made you, when it finally hit, honestly, it was almost extremely disturbing. And I've seen like Kill Bill where there's literally gallons of blood. And
I don't know. I seen parts of Kill Bill. I seen The Hateful Eight.
Right. And, that's another good one too.
I also seen parts of Pulp Fiction. Speaking of which, Pulp Fiction also won the Oscar for Best Original Screenplay back in 1994.
It was a good movie.
That was a good movie. That same year, Forrest Gump came out that year, too.
Oh, so many good movies.
Speaking of Forrest Gump, actor Tom Hanks was also nominated for Best Supporting Actor for A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood as Mr. Rogers.
Oh, absolutely. I wish I had seen that movie. It looked so good.
I love that movie. A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood was a great movie. And I actually watched some episodes of Mr. Rogers when I was growing up. But they actually played some episodes of Mr. Rogers on PBS Kids when I was little.
It's very harmless content.
I know. But not only that, the show Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood came out in the 1960s.
Something like that.
It came out a very long
before
time ago.
our time. That's all that matters.
I know. But hey.
I think Marielle Stiles did a very good job. Mary Styles Heller, the director of this movie, did a very interesting job, don't you think?
I think so too. She did a nice job on that film.
The story of Mr. Rogers, how good-hearted he was.
Yes, and I know Tom Hanks didn't win this award, but hey, he put up a good performance as Mr. Rogers.
Hey, he had a win in Toy Story 4. Come on, someone else had to win.
True. Yes. Toy Story 4 won Best Animated Feature Film.
So there wasn't a lot of strong contenders, as I would call it, for the movie. Really,
right?
It was either going to go to Klaus, Missing Link, or Toy Story 4,
or How to Train Your Dragon 3, which was also nominated.
And I Lost My Body. I Lost My Body and How to Train Your Dragon 3 seemed like interesting ones, but just looking at like box office receipts and critical reception, I felt like they were probably going to be pushed to the side because Klaus had a very interesting, and it actually innovated an entire new animating style, and Missing Link is stop motion. People love that.
I know, right? Speaking of stop motion, Wallace and Gromit also won in 2005 or 4 for Best Animated Feature Film.
Was it the Were Bunny one?
Yes, the Were Rabbit.
Were Rabbit.
Anyway,
well, see, it seems that we're neglecting our actresses, though they might also prefer the actor.
Right.
Before we move on to it.
Also, you mentioned Laura Dern at the start. Laura Dern won the Oscar for Best Supporting Actress in Marriage Story, beating out contenders like Scarlett Johansson, Kathy Bates, Margot Robbie, and Florence
Pugh.
Okay, yeah.
For Little Woman, a movie that I did not see on principle.
I thought it was Little Women.
Little Woman.
Was it? Is that really? Okay.
Little Man.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So anyway, actually, those films, Richard Jewell, Marriage Story, Jojo Rabbit, Little Women, and Bombshell. I have not seen those films.
See, I saw a little bit of Jojo Rabbit. I just didn't end up seeing it in theaters. I didn't have that call to action moment, though I really wanted to see it. It was supposed to be a stylized timepiece about children growing up with like Hitler Youth in World War II.
So basically, yeah. I mean, was it? This one was a satire, right?
Oh yes, it was made by Taika Waititi, who also made Thor Ragnarok.
Right, exactly. Speaking of which, he played Korg in Thor Ragnarok.
Very nice.
And speaking of which, Taika Waititi won the Oscar for Best Adapted Screenplay.
Ooh, you're making me flip through my notes here, sir.
I know.
Yes, Jojo Rabbit may have been snubbed, by some people might say, by Best Supporting Actress, but it did win for Best Adapted Screenplay.
Yes, and since we are also on the subject of screenplay, Parasite won screenplay.
Best Original Screenplay. You're going to hear Parasite a lot more throughout this podcast.
I know, right? I know. Now, first of all, I had Once Upon a Time in Hollywood winning for Best Screenplay. Now, this one was a thought. I thought that one would win because knowing Quentin Tarantino, he does write a lot of good stories.
Oh, absolutely.
But sometimes you got to bring in the new people.
You got to bring in our international crowd. Parasite did wonderful at the box office. Only cost $11.7 million to make, and you could not even tell. It's that innovative Korean filmmaking. We're seeing a lot of interesting movies coming out of South Korea.
That is huge filmmaking right there for South Korea. You got to give them points. They just made one of the greatest films of all time.
If you ever get the opportunity, I would also suggest watching Old Boy, another very good South Korean movie.
I will put that on my list.
The way that Asian cinema is very interesting in how efficient it is. It's kind of like how they used to do it in classic. It's kind of just strung together, but you would never be able to tell because of how efficient and on top of their game everyone is. It's kind of like, what do you call it, the 80s.
Right.
In the U.S. and Hollywood where people were just kind of pulling it together like Ghostbusters. That was just lightning in a bottle.
Right, exactly. And oh, wait a minute, hang on a second. We already did supporting actress. Don't forget about the lead actress.
Yes, we can't forget them.
Because Renee Zellweger. Renee Zellweger won the Oscar for Judy.
Yes, a movie I didn't see the trailer for, wasn't interested in, and she won. So good for her.
Yes. Now here's the thing: I did not see that movie, but she did won the Golden Globe for that too. So basically,
I'm certain it's a good movie.
No. I hear it's a great movie.
I can't watch. I just am not interested in the slightest.
Because that movie Judy is based off of Judy Garland.
Mm-hmm. My brother might be more into it. He's a Woz fanatic.
Ah, okay. Anyway, she had competition with Charlize Theron, who was nominated for Bombshell. That which was also the same goes for Margot Robbie in supporting actress as well.
Now that was a good movie. Did you see Bombshell?
I have not seen Bombshell.
We're gonna get to the point. Bombshell did win an Oscar at some point, but when we do get to I'd like
best makeup.
I'd like to talk about it for a bit.
Sure. And anyway, I'm pretty sure we already mentioned best animated feature film.
Yes.
And since we did mention Parasite won for best international film.
Yes, they won for best international film. They were up against...
The name itself was actually best foreign language film.
Yes, so best international feature film, as it's been called. They were up against Corpus Christi, which was made by Jan Kamasa of Poland fame, Honeyland, which had 3 directors, the French version of Les Miserables, I wonder if it's any better, and Pain and Glory by Pedro Almodovar, which was for Spain.
Oh, my.
Almodovar, there we go.
Very, very impressive. Anyway, not only did Parasite won for best international film, but it also became the first non-English film to win best picture.
Oh yeah, a lot of other films have come close, and of course we blew it a little bit quickly with the whole best picture thing. But Parasite has so many Oscars that it did win.
Right, it did. It
won in almost every single topic that it was nominated for.
Especially Best Director, being out Todd Phillips for The Joker, Taika Waititi for Jojo Rabbit, and Sam Mendes for 1917.
Oh yeah, I think we're going to see a lot more of Bong Joon-ho. Because he's going to become, I think, a really competent and interesting director. He already has a lot of fans starting to congregate towards him. He might become like a Guillermo del Toro.
That is true.
That's what happened with Pan's Labyrinth.
Yes. And anyway, let's talk about Bombshell for a little bit, but for best makeup.
So makeup and hairstyles, it was up against Joker, Judy, Maleficent, Mistress of Evil, in 1917. So Bombshell tells the story of the Fox News anchors, or like the Fox News anchors.
Right.
Essentially, it tells the story of the Me Too movement that was going on in Fox.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
This one's with Charlize Theron and Margot Robbie.
Right. And then I believe there's one other woman that we're forgetting that also was on the poster for it.
I might have forgot. I think I forgot who.
But history will not forget her. So it's important. It tells the story of Fox News anchors. Now, it's told in a very interesting biopic way, kind of in the same format as like a Rocket Man or a
Bohemian
Rhapsody. It's not a musical.
Right, it's not a musical.
But it's a biopic. So it follows their story essentially of how they came to just go up against the man and challenge Fox News and say, you know what, I do not like the way that you are sexually objectifying me. And it's a very empowering movie. I actually quite liked it, even though I am a man.
Well, anyway, if I get a chance to see this movie, I will give it a shot. And
absolutely.
Speaking of Rocket Man was the only film to be nominated and won the Oscar for Best Original Song.
Yes. It was up against Toy Story 4, Breakthrough, Frozen 2, and Harriet. Elton John and Bernie Taupin worked together on I'm Gonna Love Me Again. It's Rocket Man.
Exactly.
Rocketed to the top.
Right, exactly. I hear that song is very good.
See, I thought it was going to be Frozen 2 again, but after the whole Let Me Go thing, I guess that's just payback against Disney.
Well, anyway, that film, Frozen 2, got snubbed for Best Animated Feature Film.
No, it was definitely prettier than the first one.
Now, here's the thing. It was prettier than the first film, but the tone itself really took me by surprise. I didn't know what to expect it, but from the way of how the trailer was set up and the film, it literally exceeded
It
my
probably.
expectations.
I think it was one of those situations where, again, it goes back to the politics of the Oscars. We can't have more than one Disney film, even though Toy Story 4 is Pixar.
Right.
Pixar is owned by Disney, and at this point, it's being animated by Disney.
Right, exactly.
It's
I know.
Disney.
I
So
know it's Disney. But last year, don't forget, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse won Best Animated Feature Film.
oh yeah, I love that movie. That's a good one.
That is a great movie.
See, you know what? I didn't appreciate Miles Morales as Spider-Man until I saw that movie.
But at least the storyline was great.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, are we missing anything?
We're missing a couple substantial ones, so we'll just
what
talk
about-
through them real quick.
What about? Okay, I did mention Star Wars being nominated, but
Yes,
anyway,
we-
I think 1917 won a Sound Award too. Did
Yes,
it win a Sound Award,
well,
or was
we'll
it
go
Ford versus
through-
Ferrari?
We'll go through the awards that 1917 won if you want,
Yeah.
because that actually would be fun.
Yeah.
They won cinematography
Exactly, cinematography.
up against The Irishman, The Joker, The Lighthouse. I feel like The Lighthouse should have won that one, but we'll leave it at that.
Right.
We're running out of time here. Roger Deakins won. He was a cinematographer for that movie. He won the award for 1917. 1917 also won an Oscar for
Visual effects.
visual effects.
Beating out Avengers Endgame.
Now, I was surprised. I thought the VFX wizards over at Avengers Endgame would have won, people at Disney, but then again, maybe that's one of those situations where it doesn't matter how much money you throw at it.
Right, exactly. But anyway, as long as you tell a good story.
As long as you tell a good story.
I mean, it was a good
and it's
story,
interesting.
right?
Well, yeah, Avengers Endgame was a really interesting story. It was a culmination of 10 years in the making.
Right, exactly.
But 1917 just had a visual aesthetic that was very practical.
That was very practical.
And it was the efficiency of it that I think really
Right.
wooed well with the Oscar crowd.
Mhm.
And then 1917 did win one other award. It was not sound design; it was sound mixing.
Yeah, sound mixing. I thought it was one of the sound awards, but because here's the
Yes.
thing. Ford versus Ferrari won an Oscar for sound
editing,
and
yes.
then it also won for best film editing.
Yes, that was a movie I'm sad I didn't watch.
Yeah, I actually seen that. I seen that film. It's a pretty interesting film.
Well, I'm certain. But sound mixing, straightforward. That went to Mark Taylor and Stuart Wilson.
Yeah.
Very good for them. They worked on 1917. A very interesting movie. A lot of progressive, what do you call it? Progressive bars.
Right, exactly.
In the way that it's all just formed together, and it works very well for the aesthetic of it, too.
And then
Empty and dreading.
Yeah, and exactly. Anyway, and even though we kind of went over the musical score, I mean, best original song.
We can
but
go over original score.
the original score for the first time in film history.
Went to a comic book
It-
movie.
It went to a comic book movie for the first ever female composer, Hildur Guðnadóttir, an Icelandic composer and cello player, won the Oscar for best original score in The Joker.
That is an accent on a letter I have never seen in my life before.
She is Icelandic.
Icelandic. That explains the name. But yes, the Joker and his revised tones and the Charlie Chaplin music that we took from it too.
Right, exactly.
That was so good.
Mhm.
Music absolutely helped carry that story, especially the last 20 minutes.
Yes, it does.
Wonderful film. Wonderful score as well.
Wonderful film and score. And anyway, did we production design and costuming?
Production design and costuming.
Because I know one of those categories went to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yes, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood won for costuming. Let me see. What's the name of that wonderful, wonderful person that put all that work and effort
Yes.
into making it look like a 1970s street?
Or 1969, I should say.
1969. I'll say it, on the cusp of it. You know, in interviews, Quentin Tarantino said that he designed the aesthetic of the movie based off of the purview of a young Quentin Tarantino in the
Oh.
back of his parents' car.
Really, huh?
Yeah, he used to lie down in the back of his parents' old, I have no idea, name a 70s car here.
Yeah.
And he would look out the windows, and whatever he saw, that's what he remembers of the 70s when his parents would ride around. So he really mastered the aesthetic for it. But that went to Barbara Ling and Nancy Haig.
Yeah.
Barbara Ling did the design, and decoration was by Nancy Haig.
Yeah.
Good for them.
And then who won the costuming?
For costuming, I believe I could have sworn that went to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood as well. But let me see. It's been 10 days. You think we would have figured it out? by
Yeah.
now, right?
Yeah. I
Let me
forgot.
see.
I mean, like,
We'll just double check 1 second.
Right, and
I thought it went to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
I thought design decoration.
Design and decoration. Oh, that gets no, it's right underneath it. Okay, it went to Little Woman. Oh, that's why I don't remember it.
Yeah, but hey, come on. Hey, I mean, hey, give them credit. Give them credit. I thought they had pretty. They yes. Not to mention Greta Gerwig. Greta Gerwig was also nominated for Best Director.
And also Best Picture, too. She was the only female director that was on that list. But still. I'm glad she got it. Good for her.
Oh, yes, good for her.
Jacqueline Duran was in charge of costuming for that movie.
Very impressive.
Very, very impressive. I believe the only thing we're missing out on now is the documentary category, of which I've seen none of them.
Which film won for Best Documentary?
That was American Factory, brought to you by Stephen Bognar and Julia Reichardt, something that you can actually see right now if you have a Netflix subscription.
Sadly, I don't have Netflix. All I have is Disney Plus.
I believe it's all about factory farming and why cow farts are turning the ozone layer into gas vapors.
Yep.
It's wonderful stuff. And then it was up against The Cave, The Edge of Democracy, For Sama, and Honeyland, which was also nominated for Best International Picture.
And then, like, isn't there a Best Documentary Short?
There's a Best Documentary Short, which was won by Learning to Skateboard in a War Zone, If You're a Girl, by Carol Dissinger.
Impressive.
Yes.
Impressive. And speaking of short hair, or is that what it's called, short hair?
No, it's called Hair Love.
Oh, Hair Love. Okay, my bad. Okay, Hair Love won the Best Animated Feature Short.
Yes, Best Animated Feature Short went to Hair Love. I believe it premiered before. Was it a Pixar film or a Sony film?
Sony.
Before a Sony film. Wonderful short story. A lot of socially progressive messages. Very diverse as well. Promoted the love of someone and who you are naturally.
Yep, exactly. So anyway, did we cover everything?
I believe we covered everything. Now, do you have any predictions or any hopes for the next Oscar season?
I am not really sure. Although so far, Birds of Prey just came out last week, and then this Valentine's Day, Sonic the Hedgehog is also coming out.
Oh God, I hope that one wins an Oscar.
Well, if they fixed since they fixed the
That's
design,
true. They did reanimate the movie, so who knows?
So yep. So anyway. Oh, by the way, anyway, to end, we sadly lost some amazing, great, and talented filmmakers, actors, singers, writers, directors,
celebrities
back in 2019. Who brought in dedication, talent, and hard work to the big and small screen. And now, I mean, it's a lot to say, but I will list out some of the people. So rest in peace to Kobe Bryant, Kirk Douglas, Rip Torn, Luke Perry, Cameron Boyce, John Witherspoon, Peter Fonda, Peter Mayhew, Richard Williams, John Singleton, among many great filmmakers, actors, singers, directors, writers.
You will be missed. The room always feels the most empty when the creatives leave.
I know.
Yeah. Rip Torn, he's been in a lot of really interesting movies, especially
Men in Black.
Well, towards the end of his career as well. He did a lot of really interesting cult classics. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Freddy Got Fingered.
I have not seen that film.
No. I know it sounds weird, but it's got Tom Green from that Social Zeitgeist.
Right. And, by the way, speaking of Kobe Bryant, I also did a short film review of Dear Basketball, which I did about a couple of weeks ago, so you guys can go check that out as well.
Absolutely.
So, anyway, Cameron Boyce was a very young actor. He played, he was in the Disney Channel show called Jesse. He played Luke in that show. He also played one of Adam Sandler's sons in both grown-ups films, and he also played the son of Cruella de Vil in all three Descendants movies.
Yes. It really sucks when people just lose out on a wonderful career.
Yep.
and it gets cut very short because he could have matured into a very interesting actor. A lot of people that definitely do the DCOM family movies usually tend to expand, spread their wings, and do some interesting things.
Right, they do very interesting things too. But anyway,
Absolutely.
Peter Fonda will be missed as well. Peter Mayhew, who played Chewbacca,
Chewbacca, yes.
will also be missed as well. Luke Perry from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. He had a small role in that film, which was his very last film before he passed away.
Yes.
And then he in Riverside or Riverdale? Luke Perry?
I don't completely know off the top of my head.
One of those shows.
We don't have the privilege that the audience has, and that being access to Google.
Yeah, I know. Anyway, and Kirk Douglas was another one that came out. Was another one that was just probably about a few days before the Oscars. Kirk Douglas, he was a great actor. His son Michael Douglas is also another great actor as well. And to this day, Michael Douglas is still doing films to this day.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, and John Singleton directed Boys in the Hood.
Yep.
He did that as well. So anyway, and John Witherspoon, he played the dad in Friday, with Ice Cube and Chris Tucker. John Witherspoon.
I wish I'd seen that movie.
Yeah. So anyway, I know there's a lot of other people to remember, but anyway, rest in peace to all of you amazing filmmakers, actors, singers, directors.
Mm-hmm.
You will be missed, but you will not be forgotten.
Absolutely.
Anyway, and there you have it, folks. That is my review, or should I say our review of this year's Oscars. Randall, what do you think?
I feel like this is probably the most fair Oscars we've had in a very long time. It's really interesting. We're making ground right here with the South Korean film actually winning the Oscars.
Yes.
So I'm very excited to see where films will go in the future. We're starting to see a lot of really interesting original movies starting to take the limelight as well.
Yes.
And I only have high hopes in seeing what's going to happen now that the tower of superhero movies is starting to come down just a bit. So we're going to see some newer properties start to prosper and do well.
Yes, and maybe some superhero movies may go into a much more serious direction too.
Absolutely.
Like the Joker.
Absolutely.
And anyway, thank you all for tuning in to Codo's Cinema. And once again, I'm your host, Mark Codo. Have a wonderful day. Have a happy Valentine's Day, and have a good weekend. Stay warm out there. I know we got a lot of snow out there today, but anyway, stay warm. Have a good Valentine's Day weekend. Once again, I'm your host, Mark Codo.
And I've been Randall Becker.
Thank you all for tuning in, and tune in next week for another exciting episode of Codo's Cinema. Bye.